So,
yeah, I think.
Can we start now?
Yeah, if everyone is here, then we can start. Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we have full panel now. Let me formally welcome all of you. Shri M.K. Singh ji, Principal Commissioner. Shri Sunil Chatterjee, Commissioner. Ms. Farah Iqbal Gupta, Additional Commissioner. Ms. Aarti Nair, Deputy Commissioner. Shri Utkarsh, Deputy Commissioner. Shri Sandeep Narula ji, Chairman, Electronics and Computer Software Export Promotion Council. Our esteemed members, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our electronics and IT exporters, let me extend our warm welcome to you this morning. We are extremely grateful for you for sparing your valuable time this morning and to interact with electronics and hardware member exporters, and basically who are also importers as well because of their supply chain requirements from different sources. Our special thanks to our esteemed members, Apextronics and FCI OEM Connectors for supporting this event today. Just to brief you, sir, Electronics and Computer Software Export Promotion Council is a registering authority for the electronics and IT companies under the foreign trade policy of the Government of India, with a mandate to promote global trade and cooperation across the globe. ESC has over 2,300 member exporters spread across the country, and we work as a bridge between the government and the industry on various policy and promotional matters. Sir, as we all know, the use of IT is imperative for all the sector across the board, and obviously customs is one of them. And we recall that role of customs in international economic relations is all pervasive and growing. Over the years, internationally, custom duty structures have been scaled back and narrowed so that their application has become far easier. At the same time, other means such as anti-dumping duty have been used to indulge in unfair competition. Multilateral organizations such as the WCO and WTO have played an important role in bringing down customs duty rates internationally, as well as in the monitoring of unfair competition. The responsibilities of customs administration have moved forward from monitoring only whether the right custom duty is applied to more sophisticated responsibilities and challenges that cover matters of international money laundering and terrorism. The use of IT in both traditional and newly emerging functions cannot be overemphasized. The Indian customs faces increasingly complex demands as various case examples. An ever-vigilant custom administration should be able to deliver on those international objectives and help assist in furthering India's international economic relations. Uh, we have a very senior panel of officers, both from the imports and exports department from the customs. Shri M.K. Singh, Principal Commissioner of Customs Imports, 1989 batch officer of Indian Revenue Service, who also received Presidential Award for specially distinguished record of service in 2011. We also have the panel, Shri Sunil Tated,
No, just one second. Mr. Sunil Tated, unfortunately, is not well. So,
okay, so he's not
here today. But Ms. Farah Iqbal Gupta, Additional Commissioner, and Utkarsh, Deputy Commissioner from Export, they have joined.
Okay, thank you so much. So we welcome all the senior officers who are present us here. And sir, we would like to hear from you more than talking from ourselves. Although our members are there, we have members across the country who's joining us from the majorly from the electronic sector, and we look forward to the new technology that has been introduced in the department, and of course our members who have some concerns and issues with regard to customs, they will be raising it with you. With these words, thank you so much once again, and may I request Mr. Sandeep Narula, our chairman, to speak a few words to take it forward. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Gurmeet ji. Shri M.K. Singh, Principal Commissioner, Ms. Farah Iqbal Gupta, Additional Commissioner, Ms. Aarti A. Nair, Deputy Commissioner, Shri Utkarsh, Deputy Commissioner, Shri Gurmeet Singh, ED ESC, my fellow members at ESC, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning, warm welcome to this session. On behalf of ESC and the entire fraternity from both electronics and IT member companies, numbering about 2,500, I take this privilege to welcome you all this morning. We are grateful to you for sparing your valuable time to be with us today and interact with our members. Sir, India had started picking up both in manufacturing and exports. I'm talking of prior to the pandemic. But suddenly we hit with a natural calamity and we had seriously impacted our industry and our business. The production and exports from this sector has seriously impacted, disrupted. So the disruption in the supply chain, lockdown, migration of workers, logistics. We have been suffering as industry for almost 6 months now. I don't know when this suffering will end, but we are very positive, we all are very hopeful, and we all are very enthusiastic and confident of coming out with the solution and come out with the flying colors. In fact, the economic slowdown because of the pandemic on the one side is one cause for the suffering. And for our industry, especially electronics, the other suffering is because of our ongoing relationship with the neighbors. As I said, the industry, electronic industry is heavily dependent on our neighbor for meeting the supply chain requirement. So that has further impacted the morale of our industry, which is all-time low. But as I said, we are very encouraging, we are very positive, and we hope that with strong support from the government, from the customs, we would surely be coming out with this issue. Let me highlight the journey towards making India Atmanirbhar as envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister after the pandemic, which has given a lot of hope to the Indian industry. We at ESC further enhanced that slogan, and now we say Atmanirbharta se niryat ki raha. As you would agree that this niryat ki raha cannot be successfully achieved without the active and close working with you, sir, with Custom Department, because as I said, the supply chain for our industry is largely to be met from the imports, and then we do the value addition and do the exports. During this process, our industry, our members are having certain issues which they will raise one to one. But I'm very happy and extremely happy to say that the recent transformation and the upgradation of the system, whether it is faceless assessment or time-bound bill of entry submission, online bill of entries, and various such initiatives taken by your department and the government are very welcome, and those have given huge relief to the industry as such. But as said, whatever has been done more. So our industry has got further expectations that will go a long way in streamlining the process and the close interaction between the industry and the custom departments. Though the industry has got the issues, but we have compiled some of the issues which I would raise, which would be, I think, relevant and significant to most of the members. So I will raise some of the issues so that members do not raise one by one, and then if there are certain issues which have not been raised by me, then the members are free to raise during the interaction with you, during the Q&A. So as I said, though the infrastructure has improved to a great extent, we still feel that there is issues on infrastructure and logistics which lead to the delay in the custom clearance processes, which need to be looked into. Direct port delivery, we also see delay in integration of prior BE regularization. If that can be expedited further, streamlined, I think a lot of clearance can be expedited. Several queries are regularly raised for the documents which have already been filed in the e-Sanchet. So I think some system error or something which need to be corrected. Several times there are non-related queries from RMS officers which leads to delay in clearance. The technical errors while scanning is also one of the cause which is leading to the delays. For genuine DPD importers, no sir, we suggest that there can be exemption on the examination which has been recently initiated and which is causing huge delays. Though it is related to airline, but I still like to raise all airlines giving DO online, but Celebi, which is the agency at the airport, needs a hard copy of DO for gate pass results. That is consuming a lot of time, which can be looked into. And there are certain more issues which our members raise. I would not take much of the time and let you guide us and apprise of the initiatives taken. There were some of the important issues that I have raised. Members would feel free to raise further. Before I conclude, I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks once again to all of you for sparing your valuable time to be with us today. We hope that today's interaction will result in creating a very friendly and business environment which will take to the new growth trajectory as far as the India and the electronic industry is concerned. With these words, I conclude. Thank you so much.
Sir, can we request your comments and your vision, MK Singh ji?
Well, at the outset, let me thank Mr. Gurmeet Singh and Mr. Sandeep Narula for this initiative and inviting me for this occasion. I really compliment you and the association for taking this initiative, and we will try to resolve whatever queries the exporters and importers have. But let me at the outset also mention that the team of panelists here is basically from the ICD Tughlakabad. So we are having a limited jurisdiction so far as import and export is concerned. I see from the queries which have been raised, they are sometimes policy issues. There are also issues relating to air cargo. Let us try to understand those issues, and we will try to maybe guide you how to go about it, or maybe to whom to contact in that regard. So while saying so, let me also mention at this juncture that so many and transformation which has taken place in the customs processes, which over last 30 years I have personally witnessing it. And you all must have seen that with the growth of international trade, with the so many multilateral, bilateral trade agreements coming into force, there are a number of WTO initiatives which have been taken place over a period of years, and also the WCO conventions which have been made for the customs simplification and modernization. And with all this, let me tell you that the customs not only has globally transformed, but it has taken a significant leap in our country, where we started with the major step of automation of the customs processes, which you all now take as a part of our work, daily work now. With the extension to online duty payment, to online communication, then we move to risk-based assessment, where almost, if we see an average of 70 to 80% of the consignment is now being cleared under risk management without any physical intervention of the customs. So, and now we are also moving towards, say, this faceless assessment, which we have already started in some of the locations, where the officers would be sitting in any location in India and would be assessing the bill of entry filed at any of the port. And we hope that this will further bring into the transparency in the customs processes. With all this simplification and reduction, in fact, it basically leads into reduction in time and cost for the trade. And you must have also seen that the trade facilitation measures have brought India into the forefront of the maybe many of the parameters and ranking in the World Customs Forum. So while this is the broad picture about how we have transformed over the period of years, I'll suggest that we can take the individual issues relating to imports and exports now. From imports, we'll try to maybe answer as far as possible from this port, and for exports also we have a panel of officers here. So we can start with the queries of the importers and exporters, whatever way you like.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for updating us on the updations and the automation which has been introduced in the department. Now, I'm connecting with some of our exporters now. May I request Mr. Janardhan Kundar, AT&S India Private Limited. Mr. Janardhan.
Yeah, I hope you are able to read my.
Yes.
Is it audible for you?
Yeah, audible. Please carry on.
Okay, yeah, just a minute. Okay, we have one concern on the export. Basically, we are having EPCC license scheme when we are importing the machineries. Basically, within the warranty period. Now, when one of the components are break down, and in order to replace that defective part, we need to send back the defective part to overseas supplier. After that, we have to follow all the documentation part. Then we have to get the new material. This process is currently is time consuming since machine value is also very high, and keeping machine idle for many days is costing a lot for us. So just we are thinking that is there any I don't know, there may be procedures limitation maybe. Is there any option available wherein no, we can ask the supplier to ship the good material for us? Then we can install the good material in our machines. Then we can send back the defective part to supplier so that we can save the one-way time limitations in the process. There's one request from our end. The one point for the dignitaries. Second one is many of the times in the customs, in the import customs, air import, we are getting some queries. So there may be delay in the system related issues. Shipment is getting delayed. By doing that, we are also ending up paying extra demurrage charges in the airport because of the storage of the goods. So those things, how the industry can, how the government can support us. So those are the two questions I would like to raise here right now.
Okay, let me take up the second point first, where you said that it is the damage caused by the custodian at the air cargo, which they are levying because of the delay in clearances. Now, this issue basically does not directly involve customs because any delay in processes where customs can expedite, of course, we will be happy to do that. But the charges being levied for the storage and all is all related to the custodians. So even in Tughlakabad, like the custodian is Container Corporation, and they have their own policy of levying, giving free time and levying charges. Though maybe in ICD, the free time is much more than the air cargo. So maybe that's why you are facing problem in air cargo. So you may raise this issue with the concerned air cargo commissioner. Maybe they will be able to give you some solution. The other point which you raised was that whether you can import first the part for the EPCG machine and then export later. Or, I mean, I don't actually find whether there is any customs issue involved in this, because the import you want to make first, or you want to make export first, that would be basically depend between the agreement between your supplier and you. So if the supplier can provide you replacement part first, and then you can export, we really don't have any objection. Farah, if you want to comment on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, exactly. That's what even I was wanting to share, sir. that customs will not be having problem. It also depends upon the type of scheme you are taking up, that is the export promotion scheme. If it provides some kind of guideline that pre-import is required, for that you have to see. If the scheme does not put any regulation like that, that is between the supplier and the customer in India, whatever agreement they are looking into. And accordingly, they can first import those parts and then later on export it.
So what will happen, ma'am? You're right. What will happen is currently what trying to do right now is we're importing with the placing the new purchase order for supplier, getting the good components and making the machine up and running. Now what will happen again? The defective part I have to send back to the supplier, and we have to get the new components again, which may be useful or may not be useful in future. Because we have to apply the bank, also we have to take the GRVR application put up, and there are a lot of documentation formality also we need to fulfill as per the regulations concerned. So thereby this is waste in the process is what our thought is.
No, but in any case, if you have imported something under bond or under a license, then then a lot of requirements are there. Correct. For replacement and all. Yeah. So that requirements, so in any case, you will have to follow. Yeah, because whatever is, because everything has been brought without payment of duty or exemption of duties. So there are certain regulations which are required to be followed. Since those articles have come without duty, so now if you want to export them back for some kind of repairs or something, so there is a prescribed procedure which is laid down, and you need to follow it. The customer would definitely like to expedite it. If there is a specific issue, then we can look into it. But otherwise, there is a laid down procedure which is required to be followed. I can ask Utkarsh, my deputy commissioner, can speak on this if he has something to say.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Utkarsh, you can brief him if you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, all the members who have joined. So I agree with sir, what sir initially said, that if the goods have to be imported, the replacement part has to be imported before, beforehand, before you send your goods back to whomsoever who supplied the goods to you. That's something between the buyer and the seller. And for that, I do not think the department has an issue. And then I also agree with ma'am, what ma'am said, that if some sort of import, if some sort of BFI or something like that is being used, in that case, if some license is required, then at the time of export, we do insist on establishing identity. And that is for the purpose so as to establish that the goods that had come in, for which certain rewards, say a certain scheme was used, certain exemption was used, those goods are only being sent back. However, for facilitation of the exporters, we on request we do entertain speeding of the up of the process. If we are approached, we do go ahead and look at whether the part is actually part of the good that was imported, that is spare part that you are actually exporting back to your supplier. And we try and expedite the process as much as possible. Sometimes, in order to establish identity, we do ask certain documents so that we are also able to understand, because you may know that if it's a machinery, may not always be able to know what exactly that machinery is, whether that part actually belongs to that good for which you had used the license. However, is established, ma'am and sir, we are actually trying to expedite the process on whatever request that comes in.
Yeah, okay. I hope this satisfies your query. If there's still something left, you may maybe further give more details to us. We'll be able to.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
That was quite elaborate, sir. And if need be, we will request our member to connect with us, and we can certainly, make a representation to your office, certainly.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And we have Mr. C.K. Kapila from the Continental Devices India Private Limited. Kapila ji.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I think you can hear me. Can you?
Yeah, sure. Please.
Yeah.
All right. I have just two issues. One is that the the filing of the bulletin fee is given just a day since from the time it lands, the shipment lands. and we have no problem as far as we are concerned. But on the weekends, yes, certainly there some kind of a problem comes up, because on the weekend when there is a holiday and the shipment comes in, like maybe Saturday or second Saturday or so on. So quite frequently, the situation comes that we are not being able to file the bill of entry, and then again, the delay penalty is levied. In case of air, there are cases where we got it waived off because of the reasons, but in case of sea shipments at PPG or TKD, sometime it was denied. It was denied, saying that you had the IGM, much earlier than this. You could have filed the bill of entry for earlier. So this is really not a practical. My or our request is that this one day is not really enough. It should be extended to maybe three or 5 days. That's number one. Second issue is that nowadays in this pandemic situation, the passenger flights are not moving. So on the courier services, there's a lot of loads coming in. So we have small shipments coming in from various courier services. And in that, we understand that there are a lot of cargo which is piled up at Delhi, Mumbai, and these big ports. And the clearances out there is really an issue. I mean, I had the case, or I faced a case where the shipments were not clear for 3 weeks. So that's, and we were told, I don't know how far it's really true, that there are not enough of custom officers are there to clear the ship. So these are the two practical really issues to the panel. That's my submissions. Thank you.
Let me respond to your queries. The first one, which you mentioned, that the filing of bill of entry, the time should be increased. Let me tell you the background about this. This was not earlier. There was no late fee required, but the section 46(3) was amended some time back, when we said that it should be filed by end of the next day, excluding holidays. So as far as your point is concerned, whether if there is a holiday or Sunday, I think that is not included in that. So that period is already excluded. But let me also tell you that there is a provision to file a prior bill of entry before up to 30 days in advance for the goods arrive. So it is not one day. It is 30 days at 31st day. So you have a lot of time available, and the whole purpose for reducing this time limit for filing was to basically reduce the dwell time, so that the goods come here and they immediately get cleared. We are all focusing on how faster we can move and how faster the goods can be cleared. If we suppose we allow this 5-day period, you will understand that this will further delay the clearance process. So I feel it is the policy. Of course, it is a policy issue. I am only telling you the background of it. So any change in the law would have to be done by the government. But that is the logic behind it, and why it should not be done. That's my view. The second issue, in any case, as you also mentioned, that there is a provision for waiver of the late filing charges also in this thing. But you have said that in TKD and PPG, in some cases it has been denied. I don't know the facts of those cases, but if these are really genuine concerns, we can ensure that these charges are waived. So if there are any such grievances relating to that your sincere concern has not been attended to, we can look into it. If you can pinpoint those concerns.
Thank you.
The other issue actually relates to your courier imports, which we are saying that maybe there is a delay in clearance of courier shipments. I also don't have much idea about it, because we are not dealing with the courier shipments here. And these courier shipments, if there is a time taken in the processes, the reasons even we are not aware. So I'll request the association to take up with the concerned commissioner or the commissioner in the air cargo complex, so they can sort this matter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next on the panel now Mr. Ajit Kumar from the FCI OEN Connectors Limited. Mr. Ajit Kumar. Maybe he's not able to hear. So we move on to the next, Mr. Bhuvnesh Thakur. Bhuvnesh ji.
વાત થઈ શકશે દેવલભાઈ?
જી ભુવનેશ ji.
Teams માંથી કોલ છે એમણે કીધું કોઈ કોન્ફરન્સમાં લેવાય તો લઈ લો ને.
Bhuvnesh ji, you are audible now. Please raise your query.
Teams માંથી ફોન છે ડોક્ટરનો.
Bhuvnesh ji.
Hello.
Yeah, Bhuvnesh ji, we are able to hear you. Please carry on.
Hello.
Yes, please.
હા કેતકીબેન ને ત્યાંથી બોલું છું. હા બોલો કેતકીબેન ને ત્યાંથી બોલું છું.
Because I think we need to move on the next. He is on another call. Mr. B.K. Agarwal. Mr. B.K. Agarwal.
હા. મારો સાથે છે અને મારા રિલેટિવ છે ડોક્ટર દેવલ એમને લઈ લીધા છે.
Hello.
Ji Agarwal ji.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. My question is, board has issued a circular on 20th of November 2012. As per board the guidelines, any container which is imported, if the importer feels he cannot clear the goods within 5 days, he can give the request to the custom for the transfer of the goods from the international container to the domestic containers. And this facility we are using regularly at various ports. Recently it happened when we approached to Star Trek is saying you cannot bring any domestic container from outside, you have to take from me. Once a CFS cannot put this compulsion on the importer, so there is no such direction that CFS has to provide. It is a wish of the importer to use the container of the CFS domesticated container, or he can bring it from outside depending on the quality of the container available as well as other commercial terms and conditions. So my submission is direction may please be issued to Star Trek. They cannot impose a condition on an importer to use domesticated container of CFS only.
I can agree with the logic you are giving.
Yeah.
The only issue is that it is not within our jurisdiction. That I think the ICD you are talking about is Dadri, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I will request the association to take up with the concerned jurisdiction. I think it will come under Commissioner Customs, Principal Commissioner Customs, Noida.
Or sir, if you can just pass on this my case to Commissioner Customs of
it will be
Dadri.
better that it goes through as your association.
Okay. Okay. So Gurmeet, hello, Gurmeet.
Sure. Please do send us your submissions, representation, and we will certainly take it up with the SAR's office.
Okay. Thank you, Gurmeet.
Thank you. Okay. Because I got a call from Mr. Ajit Kumar. He was not able to get earlier. So can you connect Mr. Ajit Kumar, FCI OEN Connectors Limited, please? Mr. Ajit Kumar.
Hello.
Ji, Ajit ji,
Yes,
please.
Mr. Kumar.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, please.
Sir, good morning to all. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, I need clarification of 2 points. Recently, as a part of a digitalization, this bill of entry and the shipments are now being sent digitally to the exporters and importers. Previously, it was customs was giving hard copy of a shipping bill and bill of entry. Now it is being given in digital form, in PDF format. So now the problem is it is being sent only to a single email ID, which is registered at the time of taking import exporter code. So normally while taking import export code, the contact details given will be given in the name of MD or C or some higher officials. But practically, this import and export activities will be taken care of by the concerned staff in the concerned department. Moreover, this shipping bill and import bills are being sent based on bill of an email ID registered for import export code. That means, suppose if a company have 2 branches in different places, that bill of entry and shipping bill will be forwarded to only one place where the import export code is registered. For example, we have a unit in Cochin and we have a unit in Bangalore also. So, however, the bill of entry, all bill of entry and the shipping bill is being forwarded to Bangalore email ID. So from there, again, they have to take all the details and again they have to forward it to Cochin unit. So it will be very helpful if provision is given in the IC gate to add 2 more email IDs so that this shipping bill and the bill of entry can be forwarded to different sections in the companies and the different branches coming under one import export code. That's all, sir. Thank you.
I get your point, but the only issue is maybe we have to check up with our Directorate of Systems how this process has been built in. And but I also feel that when you are talking about one physical address or one email address of a company or one IEC code, for the KYC purposes, it should be one so that it is verifiable. We know if there are multiple email IDs or multiple addresses, it would be a little difficult from the point of view because there are so many communications to be sent. You will also understand that now the legal provisions have also been changed, and all email communications are the valid communications even for the adjudication purposes, show cause notices, everything. So I feel that I mean I am not that tech savvy, but you will also be able to maybe forward from one email ID to any email IDs you want. So in fact, I've seen in the Gmail process where you can make an auto forward request also, where these emails can be auto forwarded to your further email ID.
Yes, sir.
So I think there is a technical solution available with you also, but maybe we will also ask our DG systems to see whether it is feasible or required. But I am not still sure whether this requirement is there at all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next Mr. Anil Mehta from Panasonic India.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for having us. We have recently started facing a problem in import of samples. We are importing samples of TV for development and then local production. So currently at Delhi, again, the air cargo, the sample has been refused, saying that no CBO is allowed and get clearance from DGFT. And these are just 3 units, one unit of each size, which we use for, and we will be doing this. I mean, we have been doing this, and we would continue to do this sample development because we are doing we are producing in India. So there is no import of any CBU or such like that. But this is a normal activity which has been suddenly abruptly stopped, and we need urgent relief for this.
Again, this issue relates to air cargo, but let me still try to attempt to solve your query. The completely built TV units, as you are aware, the import policy has been changed in July, and these are now no more freely importable. They are covered under the restricted category. So if they are restricted, obviously you need a license from DGFT to import it. It does not matter whether it is 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, or because it does not give any exemption for how many units you can import. But so far as samples is concerned, yes, there is another provision in the policy that samples can be imported if they are genuine samples, where the policy provisions or restrictions will not apply. So maybe you can raise your point with the Principal Commissioner in Air Cargo Import and also with the DGFT as to how to deal with the samples being imported, as you have mentioned in this case. I understand it may be a genuine problem, but for customs also to identify whether it is a genuine sample or a regular TV being imported, that would also be a real challenge.
Sir, an organization will not import TV in one number, kind of. Just a single number.
I agree with you a lot. But how it will be practically implemented, that the port commissioner can look into it. So you can
like what you mentioned. Yeah. Like what you mentioned is, but the DGFT policy on the licensing is also still not out.
Yeah, I think they have not laid down the procedure for that. Maybe.
Yeah, so maybe, it's a gray area. And
yes, maybe the purpose is not to allow the imports of TV at all. So that may be another reason.
So if I will not import a development sample, I will not produce in India.
Anilji,
I agree. Sample may be required for your purposes, so you can raise the issue with the DGFT.
In our case, you had suggested some sample, some other route. What is that? If you can.
There is a policy provision in DGFT policy that for samples, maybe this restricted provision are there for the goods. They will not apply. But the main catch is that it should be genuine samples for the purpose. How you will prove that these are genuine samples, that is a separate issue, separate question to look at.
Fine.
So maybe that's why I'm saying you discuss this issue with the port commissioner and the air cargo commissioner, and also with the DGFT how to get away with this policy for the samples. Maybe they can provide some solution.
Right, sir. Thank you.
We have Mr. Jyoti Prasad Banerjee. I think we are getting out of time, and I request all the members to be quick. We have another 3-4 members on the panel now for a questions. Vikas, can you connect? Mr. Jyoti Prasad Banerjee, DOT Technologies.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Mr. Banerjee, please. Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, please carry on.
Okay. First of all, thank you for including me in this session. So, just before I start, my company Dot Technologies is based in Bangalore. We make electronic instruments and test equipments like multimeters and power supplies, and we design and make it here. But many of the electronic components like ICs, they're not manufactured in India. So we have to bring it from outside, mainly from China. And sometimes we also get it manufactured by the Chinese ODMs. So based on my experience in the last February when we did the last import, so there were some clearance related issues which caused about around 2 weeks of delay. It was through a DHL freight forward. It landed within, I think, 3 days, 4 days here in Bangalore. But the clearance itself took around 2 weeks. And as per DHL, it was like there was a processing delay from the customs side, due to which it was held up. Now, here is the conclusion. I could not get in touch with any of the customs department to understand what was the issue behind it. Only one phone number was available from the DHL who was interacting with me, and I had to depend on his interpretation of the delay. I had raised a complaint also in the DHL website, and they also said that it is into the customs processing, which is causing delay. Finally, got the material after 2 weeks. But before that, few things which in this disputes period, which I got every day, DHL used to call me and say, I need this document, I need this declaration. And this used to cause another delay of 1 or 2 days before I prepare the document, get it signed, stamped, and send it through email, and they would probably submit that again on the next day. So if my request is that if there is a process wherein the importer already knows that these are the documents needed, he submits it upfront, and if we can inform in advance and get a sort of an interim pre-approval, yes, discuss, here is an import, here is the value of the import, here is the purpose, and so that the post clearances, when it lands, then it becomes very smooth, because then it's just a matter of verification that whatever was declared earlier and whatever has landed matches, and then it is to expedite this process. And if there is a provision to upload all these documents online on the customs portal, that would also expedite the process, because I was interacting through the DHL. So every document that was requested was given to DHL, not to the customs directly. So if we bypass that path for all the documents, then we can send a copy to the DHL or the freight forward, whoever is the freight forward, the same document. So my request was, if that is going to help expedite some of the customs clearances processes. So we depend heavily on these imports, especially for the electronic items. A lot of things are not manufacturable in India. For example, if I need a display module for my instrument, I need to buy it from China. But China has been one of the easiest source, and you can get any type of electronic item from there. So, so if we could get a pre-approval like that. And a second request is that those who are dependent, like me, for example, on some of these imports, if we already make some list that we are, because many of these imports will be repeat imports for us or a similar type, so that we don't have to go through the approval process right from scratch again and treat each and every import as a fresh import. So just maybe if something process of that sort could be implemented.
I understand that you have problems related to clearance from the, again, courier terminal. So I don't know, I don't have the enough facts with me to respond to your on delay from the clearances in the courier terminal. But one part which I can respond to is that where you said that you need that importer should be aware of what are the documents to be filed. So there should be some place where he can some kind of checklist or some kind of website where he can see. So in that reference, I can inform you that the CBIC has developed one platform which is called the CBIC Compliance Information Portal. If you go to cip.cbic.gov.in, you will find this is actually the beta version of the portal, which has been already launched. The final version will be launched shortly. So if you go through this portal, you will find for each of the commodity or each of these tariff heading, what are the requirements, what are the rate of duties, which is being updated right now is the compulsory compliance requirements, which will again give for each of the commodity in each of the customs tariff heading. You can go and see what are the documents, what are the different agency documents which are required to be uploaded. So this will provide you a complete platform, find each and every information about a commodity and the legal provisions which are applicable. So it will be helpful to you in future imports. Right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Rajiv Venkatraman, Precision Electronic Components Manufacturing Company, PEC.
Remit, please move next.
Mr. Srinivas Motru, Qualcomm India. Mr. Srinivas. Mr. Balasubramanian, Mr. Balasubramanian Kandaswamy, Senmina SCI India Private Limited. Yeah. Yes, please. We are able to hear you. Speak out, sir. Mr. Kandaswamy.
Sir, are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, thanks for accommodating us in this interactive session. This is with regard to only one query. With regard to these queries which are being raised as part of the assessment process in customs. Even for example, today various electronic equipments and gadgets which are having a facility of IoT related wireless modules and other things which are working under either some GSM based telecom network. At the moment, it mentioned in wireless, the questions which are being raised saying that WPC license is required. But when we go and see that these are all the low power devices which are not required to have WPC license. But because in the faceless assessment also, see any port, any officer can pick up the bill of entry and he can assess. The moment when you are going for assessment process, they will say that submit WPC license. So there are upfront, as Sir said, that in CBIC in portal there are CCR compulsory requirements, things which have been kept. But there are no exclusions clauses have been mentioned, which will be handy for the officers to decide whether any specific license is required or not. I just gave you only one example, but like that there are many requirements for various other product categories. Just I would like to have your inputs and your suggestion in this regard here, sir.
Yeah, in fact, I mentioned that this is still under development. This is the beta version of the portal. So, in fact, compulsory compliance requirements, we have formed different teams in all the commissionerates all over India, where different appraisers will be looking into each and every chapter and going through what are the requirements, and that would be finally fed in the system. So it is in the process. So you will find that it will be updated, and maybe it will take some time to give each and every detail about the commodity. So including these issues, WPC related issues. So it is not yet the final version of the code.
Vikas, can we move next to Mr. Shailendra Bansal? Mr. Shailendra Bansal, Embark Information Technology Private Limited. Shailendra ji. Mr. Amish Vasani. Mr. Bhushan Mehta. Mr. Suresh Madan. Mr. Bhushan Mehta is there. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bhushan Mehta first, please.
Yeah. Sir and ma'am, good morning, good afternoon to you. Sir, we are a trading company called Unix Electronics India Private Limited. We are based in Bombay. We are primarily into export of electronic components. My question is basically on the procedural front. We have set up this company since many years, and we are exporting to a lot of countries across the world. We are finding import into India and then re-exporting components a big hassle. Hello, are you there, sir?
Yes.
We are finding it too much of restrictive documentation and too many costs involved and the delays in re-exporting the components. So basically, we have to set up a company abroad rather than using our manpower, employing more manpower here, and definitely having value addition done in our country. Rather than that, we have to set up a joint venture or a subsidiary and do the same business. So is there any thought process in this which can basically ease everything out, and we can, use the same resources to do all the exports from here and get value addition as well as, exports out of the country,
As the matter relates to export, may I ask Ms. Farah to respond to this?
Yes, sir. Yes. I would like to respond in two ways, sir, here. As you have mentioned, that as sir has already mentioned about the CIP portal, where regarding the information availability, this portal will allow you information regarding commodity and chapter heading and all other PGA requirements, that's the partner government agency requirements, on the single window platform, where you'll come to know of all the requirements and you can easily provide for all these things beforehand for exporting your things, so that it doesn't get delayed into procedural aspects or documentation. Number one. Number two, regarding re-export, we have certain specific guidelines only because of if imported items have been import has been made under some kind of exemption of duties. So then customs have a laid down procedure to look into those goods. As earlier also we had told that there are certain verification issues like identity establishment of those items which have come as import, and now we are going back as re-export because duty has not been paid on those. Other than those, exporting has no special requirement. There are certain laid down procedures. Everything is now available on the CIP. It's in a primary version coming out in the final line, where you will see at one glance at a single window all documents which are required in not only customs but related agencies also. So that will be seen. I think that replies to the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Suresh Madan, please. Suresh Madan, Ahuja Radios.
Yeah,
Sir, we have just two more participants. We won't take much of the time. So thank you so much for bearing with us. Suresh Madan.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. There is a small issue with regard to non-payment of drawback at ICD for last 2 years. This is regarding a query which has been raised. Submit CA attested cost sheet and trade details. And we wrote back to the system saying, if you need the cost sheet, there are 29 items which we have exported. And as you're aware, in electronics, there are at least 400 items which go into producing a particular item. So we mentioned that if you need a cost sheet, it will run into thousands of pages. And why should it be needed? We are in AEO at ICD Delhi. And also we have been exporting for the last 40, 50 years. And you have all the documents, past and also the future documents with you. And the prices remain the same. The drawback amount is so low. It's only 1%, 1.5%. So, and we try to talk to the customs. They say, no, since the query is raised, you should submit the CA sheets. That is getting little difficult task for us. How do we resolve it, sir? Because you have all the shipping bills which have been there, and our exports are more than 100 crores from your ICD ports, sir. So how do we resolve this issue?
I will say that this is a very individual, specific case which he is mentioning. So maybe this case has to be brought to the notice of. We should not discuss in this forum about the individual facts of this case. And unless somebody sees the file, it will be not be able to respond to this kind of query. So of course he can come meet Ms. Farah, additional commissioner,
Yes, sir.
and, or maybe on email he can send the detailed. If he's not able to come, he can send the detailed query on the email, so that can be addressed.
Emails have been made available, sir. So the query can be sent on the email. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the last one is Mr. Devraj from Tejas.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity and bringing on this platform to address our concerns. Tejas is an Indian technology company into a telecom network. We support for Make in India and Atmanirbhar movement of government of India. So we are importing many trans receivers from Chinese suppliers, and under the notification number of 8517 and 6290 with a notification of 57/2017 with a 10% BCD all these days. All of a sudden, recently there is some changes in the clearance process and demanding for a 20% duty, which have sent a representation to the customs officials in Bangalore, but we didn't find any clarity as of now. I think the process is already more than 40 days is pending, and we didn't find any resolution in this regard. And it is a good cause which we are working towards that Atmanirbhar process in Make in India, and this kind of loading additional duties is really impacting us. And the classification was clearly used, and it was clear in the past. All of a sudden, I think there may be some changes in the officials, or maybe not sure, but it is bringing some risk in our whole process. One is from financial perspective, the other one is the whole delay. So that is my submission, sir.
What I get from your question is that there is dispute between the rate of duty, what the assessing officer is saying, and what you are claiming. So this dispute has to be resolved. If he doesn't agree, then you can ask him to give a speaking order, which you can challenge before the higher authorities. So that option is available. But so far, if there is a delay in clearance of goods, there are procedures available for clearance. You can apply for provisional assessment. You can give a bond and bankruptcy and take the goods and maybe fight the issue later on. I am not commenting on the correctness of the objection being raised, because I don't know what is the reason why the higher rate of duty is being asked for. But that is a general comment from my side, that if you don't feel that the decision is correct, you ask for a speaking order and challenge it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Amish Vasani, we were not able to connect with him earlier. Now he's just requesting. So Amish Vasani, be quick, please. We have already running out of time. Mr. Amish. Maybe, and again, some issues with, yeah. Vikas, can you unmute Mr. Amish?
Yeah, he is already unmuted, actually.
Okay. So again, I think some connectivity issue. Sandeep ji, I think, Sandeep ji, can I request you to please propose the vote things, and let's close the session today. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. M.K. Singh, for sparing so much of time. Thank you for listening to us patiently. Although some of the issues are related to different ports or different airports, air cargo, but you have given a lot of advice and suggestions. We hope to take it forward on behalf of Council, because some of the important issues those have been raised and we need to resolve. Like WPC is one of the issues which is faced by our industry largely, because there is no clarification on this. Maybe we'll raise and submit those suggestions and also share with you for your forwarding to the authority for taking suitable action. Once again, all of you for sparing so much time, and we hope to see you again with further interaction with the members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.